As 2025 comes to an end tonight, we have partaken in a wrestling repast as we wind our way to 2026. My name is Tom Campbell from Cultaholic Wrestling, and this is what happened at AEW Worlds End. On 0 Hour, we saw Hyan and Maya World take on the Sisters of Sin. Julia Hart and Skye Blue kept the underdogs at bay with stereo neckbreakers to the floor and a tarantula dropkick combo. However, Super Maya World's hot tag would turn the tide. It would ultimately be game over when Skye Blue hit a combo uranagi to see the sisters doing it for themselves and getting the win. Tough night for the Liverpool lads as Zack Gibson of the grizzled young veterans took on Eddie Kingston. After getting cut off mid-rant, Gibson landed a distraction-assisted dive onto Kingston's head. Eddie would absorb a shoe-in and further shenanigans from James Drake, but ultimately rally and score the 1-2-3 with the DDT. The GYV would choke out Eddie with their scarves post-match, but a shocking return for Ortiz to the aid of Eddie Kingston would send the veterans fleeing. And with that, a proud and powerful team was formed on 0 Hour. Mark Davis and Rocky Romero took on Máscara Dorada and Bandido in tag action next. The power of Dunkzilla gave the Don Callis boys an early lead, but there was no stopping the Lucha contingent, with Dorada wiping out Davis with a dive and Bandido dropping Romero with the 21-plex for the win. We then got a short and snappy vignette informing us that El Clon is back on AEW Collision in January. Uh-oh. We conclude 0 Hour with Multi-Man Mayhem, JetSpeed and Jurassic Express facing The Demand and Josh Alexander. Ricochet and his boys look to clip the nuts of the dinosaur by attacking Luchasaurus and Jack Perry on the ramp. This left Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight to compete in an impromptu 4-on-2. JetSpeed would get some Perry aid, but it wouldn't be until a bandaged-up Luchasaurus returned from extinction that the momentum would finally shift. A one-arm chokeslam and a running knee from Jack would give the Jurassic Express and JetSpeed the win. Jack Perry pinning the AEW National Champion Ricochet to get it done. World's End opened proper with the Continental Classic Finals. First, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Konosuke Takeshita took on AEW Unified Champion Kazuchika Okada. The friction between these two Don Callis family members played out with Don Callis himself at the commentary table. A tentative technical start bled into a battle around the barricades outside. Okada took control, calmly working over Takeshita until Konosuke pulled out a deadlift brainbuster and a gorgeous top-speed tope to shift the momentum, which the crowd were very much into. It took an eye rake for Okada to take control once again. He'd be working the neck of Takeshita, offering a post-elbow drop middle finger to his adversary. An exchange of strikes followed, with Takeshita putting Okada down, countering a Rainmaker with a gorgeous blue Thunderbomb. Takeshita's running knee was avoided twice, the second time with a German suplex, but Takeshita would turn a Rainmaker attempt into a victory roll for the nearest fall of the night so far. Takeshita would finally land that power drive knee, but it only earned a very close 2. Okada would put out a Raging Fire attempt and, in doing so, would clobber Takeshita with a screwdriver, unbeknownst to the referee, to get the 3 count. Okada disposed of the evidence under the ring before heading up the ramp with Don Callis, on his way once again to the Continental Classic Final in controversial fashion this time. The second semi-final saw the proto-star Kyle Fletcher face the leader of the Death Riders, the man who's been tapping more than the Feltham kids in Team GB. Look him up, Jon Moxley. The cheers for Mox are getting a little louder every single week, and this was the case here once again as Jon headed to the ring. A slow start kicked into Moxley mode when Kyle started hot-dogging outside the ring. It led to Mox striking at ringside, only to find himself back in the ring, walking into a scoop slam. They would find themselves ringside once again soon after, with Scrappy John getting trapped in the steel steps as Fletcher put a pasting on him. The story from here is Jon Moxley's injured leg and the pre-match damaged ankle of Moxley too, as Fletcher wore and tore at the wheel of the Death Rider. A desperation cutter and an even more desperate dive gave Mox a break, but Mox catching his knee on the ropes mid-tope seemed to do more harm than good. Fletcher pushed Jon's buttons one time too many. A lariat off saw Mox eventually put Fletcher down, but he damaged his leg even more in the process. Jon attempted a stomp on the apron, but Kyle would flinch and follow up with a brainbuster on the hardest part of the ring. Mox would just break a count out, but would walk straight into a Liger Bomb and a single leg crab. Fletcher wrenching that bad boy all the way back, which left him open for a bulldog headlock. Kyle would break that and put the grapevine ankle lock onto Jon Moxley. Desperate to not tap out once again, Mox would fight through the pain and make the ropes to a loud ovation and a huge Moxley chant as well. Mox escaped a superplex by biting Kyle Fletcher and hitting an avalanche cutthroat suplex, which saw Fletcher land directly on his head. A head that then ate the canvas with a stomp moments later. Fletcher would recover and bust out a running knee, which Mox powered out of at one. A sheer drop brainbuster from Fletcher would only yield a 2 count moments later. Fletcher, in desperation, started looking for the screwdriver in the turnbuckle pads that he'd placed earlier in the day. But of course, Okada used it during his match, and he forgot to put it back. Fletcher couldn't cheat, and it ultimately cost him as he ate a paradigm shift and a Death Rider. Despite kicking out, Moxley would then apply the Bulldog strength with a sleeper that gave Moxley the win via stoppage. Fletcher, irate that he didn't tap out, protested to the ref as Moxley soaked in the cheers from the crowd. Kyle was not going quietly. He chop-blocked Moxley one final time, making sure that our Jon went into the C2 finals with Okada with as dodgy a leg as possible. AEW Tag Team titles on the line next. It's FTR versus the Bang Bang Gangs, Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn. Chicago street fight style. This went out of bounds almost immediately, with Cash and Gunn battling with a bin on the ramp as Dax and Juice let loose in front of the crowd. Stokely set up a table at ringside, which Juice attempted to put Dax through, but to no avail. I'm sure we'll come back to it. An FTR demolition combo with a bin didn't wield a 3 count, with Juice saving Gunn from a spiked piledriver and hitting a gnarly frog splash moments later to see the Bang Bang Gang bang in again briefly, until Cash sent Gunn crashing into the steps and Dax clobbered Juice with the tag team title. Gunn came back swinging when he blocked a kendo stick with his backpack bin lid armor, but got too eager with turtle power action and ended up crashing over the Spanish announce table. FTR go 2-on-1 on Juice, with his leg being mangled by a steel chair. A one-legged Robinson does his best, but is overwhelmed by Cash and Dax and lock him tight into a figure 4. Gunn's attempt to save with a fire extinguisher is put out by Cash Wheeler, driving him through a table with a tope. And when Juice can't stop the hold with a rope break because, Chicago street fight, he can and does break it with a fire extinguisher. Big Stoke broke up Juice's pinfall attempt moments later, and then he beat a retreat before Juice could end him with a steel chair. Robinson took out Dax and Cash with a chair and attempted to put Stokely through the table outside, only for Big Stoke to fly over the table instead. Yikes. A shatter machine connected, but Gunn broke the cover to give the Bang Bang Gang one final flurry, with Austin managing to kick out of a piledriver onto a bin, but unable to do so after 2 spiked piledrivers, the second onto an AEW World Tag Team title belt. Mind broken and body broken, Gunn and Robinson put up a valiant effort, but FTR are still number 1. The Women's World Tag Team Championships up next, with Athena and Mercedes Moné against the champs, the Babes of Wrath. Moné ate the wrath of the Babes early on. Athena attempted to stop the rot with a dive, but she would eat a pounce from Willow to keep the challengers on the back foot. That stopped when Moné pulled Harley's hair from the corner, leading to a lung blower backstabber combo. Harley is kept farly from Willow, isolated in the Challengers Quarter until a desperation DDT gave her a window to let the Nightingale in. After a flurry, Willow was overpowered by Athena with a German suplex and an attempted Dominator knee strike move. Couldn't quite get a purchase on the champ, could Athena? She got cocky, and then it got rocky. A pounce by Willow and a hot tag to Harley Cameron followed. Willow double power bombs the challengers, and Cameron double crossbodies and then double crucifixes them for good measure. Athena eats soul food, but Monet saves them, leading to Athena rolling into an O-face onto Cameron. Monet gets the statement maker onto Willow, which Willow reversed with a Death Valley driver. From here, the game falls apart for the challengers as Athena accidentally strikes Monet, and Monet accidentally strikes Athena. Willow's offense is halted by a superplex powerbomb combo, and Athena dropping Monet onto Willow for a fall only broken by the returning Harley Cameron. The end comes when Monet goes for the Moneymaker on Willow. Willow has felt this move many times before, and she is ready. She turns it into a very unique pinfall to get the 3 count for the champs, and they retain for the first time on pay-per-view. A dejected Mercedes Moné got chewed out by Athena post-match as the Babes of Wrath celebrated with some wonderful signs in the front row. Darby Allin time. A video plays of Darby hanging out in an ice hotel, accompanied by footage of him getting bodied and of animals decomposing. Yum yum. It's Darby Allin versus Death Rider's mercenary, Gabe Kidd. It starts hot, with Allin drop kicking and entering Kidd as Gabe hurls Darby into the steel steps in response. Darby battled back with a dive before Gabe Kidd recklessly hurled him over the timekeeper's table and recklessly catapulted his head through the steel steps. This was all done recklessly. Darby gets bloodied as Kidd continued the onslaught, even tasting Darby's blood as he does. Darby would return the favour, don't worry. After busting Kidd open with a chair, Allin was chomping on Kidd's face too. Kidd recovered and just brutalised Darby with strikes and bites. Darby gave as good as he got before dropping Gabe with an avalanche code red and following up with a coffin drop in the ring and out of the ring as well. Gabe kicked out at 2, but Darby followed it up immediately with a Scorpion Death Drop and a Scorpion Death Lock. Cue Kidd giving us a modern-day Steve Austin visual before Darby Allin slumped forward, unable to keep the move on. This gave Kidd an opening to land a set of headbutts, a teeth-rattling lariat, and a jumping piledriver for a near fall. As Kidd began biting on Darby's head once again, Allin managed to roll back into a pinning combo to get a very sudden 3 count. Darby does it. Kidd is irate, and Allin is knackered. A proper bloodbath here at World's End. Mixed Nuts Mayhem! It's the Death Riders versus the Conglomeration, Roderick Strong, and Timeless Tony Storm. Everybody breaks off around the ring to start because it's Tornado Rules. With Storm and Marina Shafir having an early showdown, we see Mark Briscoe and Wheelie Yuta get amongst it, as do Claudio Castagnoli and Roderick Strong, and then Daniel Garcia and Orange Cassidy. Cassidy puts Garcia down before a pockets-based kickoff between Cassidy and Shafir breaks out, as Orange teases a big dive out of the ring, Wheelie Yuta and Claudio, and then eventually all the Death Riders put the squeeze on Freshly Squeezed. Then they all do the same to Roddy Strong, with Shafir leading the strikes on her own husband. Briscoe attempted to turn the tide, but he pulled his punch when he went to strike Shafir, and he got a similar pasting that the other two got. Finally, Tony Storm returned to the ring, where she was able to hip attack Shafir from it. Tony and Mark Briscoe would double boulder shoulder Cesaro before Cassidy and Storm would dance their way briefly into control of the match. That is before Shafir and Tony once more found each other. Throughout this, the Death Riders are the most consistent unit, overwhelming the other teammates one at a time. Cue Tony Storm to stop Daniel Garcia and Wheelie Yuta's offense by peeling out German suplexes on Garcia and Yuta and landing a tornado DDT on Claudio too. This would just anger Claudio, who would big swing Tony out of the ring before Roddy wiped him out with a knee strike. We get a brief exchange with Roddy and his wife Marina, leaving Briscoe to drop a J Driller on Wheelie Yuta for the win. The Babes of Wrath, Mina Shirakawa, and Luther would all come to the ring to celebrate alongside the victors. What a goofy bit of silly comedy wrestling fun here at the end of the world. After this, we go backstage where Mercedes Moné is having the mother of all strops. She smashes a mirror. That is 7 years bad luck. And then she promises that she is going to kick the effing ass of Willow Nightingale on Dynamite New Year's Smash. And then she goes back to her locker room and does some more screaming. The AEW Women's World title is on the line. The challenger, Jamie Hayter, versus the champion, Chris Statlander. A very aggressive match from the start. Stat and Hayter dumping each other through the ropes with the opening grapples. Hayter going all the way out to the floor, which really flustered her. Gives you a little indication of just how this match is going to go. After a boulder shoulder stalemate, they get to striking, with Statlander rocker dropping Hayter through the ropes and driving her into the steel steps. A confident, somewhat heel-like demeanor at points from Stat as she grinds away on Hayter. The challenger gets an opening when she dodges a corner splash and clotheslines the champ all the way to the floor. From here, Stat proceeds to drive Hayter into the commentary table, hoping to exacerbate Hayter's back injury. Hayter ain't going to hold back, though. She hits a missile dropkick off the Spanish announce table in return. And from here, it's all about Jamie with a string of combos that just can't get a 3 count. Back and forth we go, with Stat landing a package pile driver for yet another 2.9. These two continue to drop bombs on one another, with Stat landing an avalanche fisherman's driver for a 2 count, and Hayter rocking the champ with an exploder suplex and a shining wizard. They go back and forth with drops and plexes until both are down. They punch their way back to their feet, with Stat spitting in Hayter's face and landing Haterade. That's Jamie's move. Jamie recovers and hits Saturday Night Fever. That's Statlander's move. The end comes when Stat goes for a discus lariat, but Jamie puts her down with Haterade. However, as she puts her on her shoulders to finish her off, Statlander counters into Saturday Night Fever and gets the 3, retaining the AEW Women's World title. A hotly contested back and forth all the way through. You have to believe they're going to do this one again. So we come to the finals of the Continental Classic. It's Kazuchika Okada versus Jon Moxley. Okada offers a handshake. Jon Moxley offers a middle finger. Let's see how you like it, Okada. After the first lockup, Okada does indeed give Mox the middle finger in response himself. Fret not, middle finger fans. We do get another Okada middle finger. Techers to start, and just as Okada goes for Moxley's leg, Mox rolls out of the ring to save himself. He saves himself from another leg snatch by grabbing the ropes, and soon after, another by gouging Okada's eye. This is the story of the match. His wheel was bad going in, and it's not getting better. Okada is ruthless, picking the ankle and wrenching the foot any chance he can, with Mox scratching tooth and claw to get out of it. Mox gets knocked off the top rope and catches his foot on the way down, causing even more damage. Okada keeps on, hitting a shin breaker on the steel steps to Mox, and Jon is in a world of trouble. Okada gets a figure 4 variation on as well. Mox is able to headbutt his way out to stay alive just a little bit longer. This lopsided affair continues, with Okada taking his sweet ass time. Okada lands a diving elbow and flips off Mox, which brings Mox back to life, and he comes close to breaking Okada's finger before landing a desperation lariat. Jon Moxley takes the lead briefly, but Okada would keep putting the fire out and going back to the leg of Moxley. Somehow, Mox would push through, coming close to a 3 with a pile driver and close to a submission with a bulldog choke. However, Okada would weather it and hit a low blow behind the ref's back, followed by a rainmaker, but it would only garner a 2 count. The only rain right now are chants raining down for Moxley, and let's go Moxley, as Okada grabs the unified title to use as a weapon. As the ref takes possession of the title back to stop Okada from cheating, Mox lands a return low blow to Okada to get back into the mix. Both trade big moves and big reverses, with Mox applying the Bulldog Choke once again. Okada tries to reverse into a Rainmaker, but Mox reverses into a Rainmaker of his own, but Okada kicks out at 1. Mox follows up with the Stomp and the Death Rider to get the 3 count and become the new AEW Continental Champion. The Death Riders hit the ring to celebrate with Mox as Tony Schiavone steps into the ring to speak to the winner of the Continental Classic. Mox gives plaudits to all the locker room, declaring they will continue to give everything every day, saying there's no professional wrestling like AEW. A very different Moxley to a year ago, with Excalibur opining that maybe the Continental Classic tournament was just what he needed. It is main event o'clock, a 4-way for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's Swerve Strickland in a Green Lantern-themed attire, Hangman Adam Page, MJF with a selection of ladies and a Cody Vader for his entrance, and reigning champion Samoa Joe. The bell sounds and Swerve squares off with MJF while Joe squares off with Page. Hangers is banging. He takes MJF out of the ring until Joe gets back in and starts dominating. The new beefy Swerve squares off in the ring with MJF, who's taking great joy in hot dogging and grandstanding over Swerve. We see Strickland get his pound of flesh from MJF, and Hangman almost get a concussion from a moonsault to the outside on everybody. We get special versions of signature moves, with Swerve landing a Swerve Stomp off the apron to the floor on MJF, and Hangman Page landing a buckshot lariat off the back of Swerve onto Samoa Joe. The crowd go wild as one of AEW's greatest rivalries gets rolled back with an exciting flurry between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, ending with Swerve hitting the Deadeye on Page. That's Page's move. Page avoids a house call but lands a buckshot that could have been 3 had Joe not turned up to Tower of Doom powerbomb Swerve and Page into MJF. Joe looks to muscle bust Swerve, but Strickland pops out and drops MJF in one beautiful motion before German suplexing Joe and hitting a powerbomb power slam combo for a 2 count. MJF tries to re-enter the match, but once more gets pinballed out moments before Page lands angel wings and a pop-up powerbomb onto Swerve for more near falls. We get a flurry from MJF when he finally gets back into the match. He throws Swerve into Joe and hits a launching cutter and salt of the earth onto Hangman. Joe puts Swerve in the Kakita clutch, and MJF is forced to break Salt of the Earth in order to stop Joe from getting the submission win. MJF falls victim to the clutch moments later, but Swerve breaks it up with a house call before MJF's arm can drop for possibly a 3rd time. From here, Swerve and Page briefly form an alliance to drop MJF and Joe before kicking each other in the face to see all 4 men fall down. The Ops insert themselves into the match here, Powerhouse Hobbs, Hook, and Shibata taking out MJF and Swerve and feeding Page to Joe for a muscle buster, but Page kicks out at 2. Hook argues with the ref, who attempts to remove the Ops from ringside. We see Swerve wipe out Hobbs and Shibata with a Swerve Stomp when they attempt to hurt Prince Nana, whilst Hangman goes for Hook, only to fall into the clutches of the Kakita clutch at the hands of Joe. Enter Swerve to stomp Joe to release the hold. From here, the Ops get moved on as Samoa Joe recovers. His attempt at a superplex turns into a Swerve powerbomb, and as Swerve goes for the stomp, MJF appears to throw him off the top. Enter Hangman Page to hoof MJF off the top and land 1 buckshot lariat, 2 buckshot lariats, a 3rd to seal the deal, gets stopped by a low blow from MJF, who follows up by hitting Joe with a heat seeker and getting the 1, 2, 3. And with that, MJF becomes the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And that is how the show ends, with MJF at the top of the ramp posing with his new title as we are ready to roll into 2026, the year of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. That was AEW Worlds End 2025. What did you make of it? Let us know in the comments below.